Okay, let's get started. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Bracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhashya Dadeshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, we welcome all the devotees for today's session, a very important session. And it might be helpful when we go out and dealing with, especially the modern generation. This phenomena is quite famous nowadays that everybody's talking, and it sounds like very cool to say that I'm spiritual but not religious. How many of you heard that? This has become like a style, and people think, okay, saying that sounds very cool. And I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. So, how do we understand this? So, this is today's topic, that is being spiritual is different from being religious, or can be spiritual without being religious. So, all those points we'll cover in today's discussion. Many times people they say that I'm not religious, I'm more of like I'm a scientific person. I believe in science, and everybody claims to be very scientific in this day and age, right? Science has become like a, what do you say, in the label. As soon as you say science, I'm scientific, you're seen as like very advanced and educated person. This is how. So every word has its own. They say that denotion, denotions and connotations. Denotations and connotations. What is the meaning? Like every word has its own denotation meaning. It has the dictionary meaning. But parallelly, every word has its connotation also. Connotation is more of, apart from the dictionary meaning, there are some emotions are also associated with that word. Like when you say that word, what emotions comes? So when you say I'm spiritual but not religious, then emotion comes. Oh, school, like that, you know. So people say that I'm very scientific, that is why I'm not religious. People think that being religious is different from being scientific. If you're scientific, you cannot be religious. And if you're religious, you're not scientific. So we'll talk about, because there are certain connotations are associated with all these words. And we'll try to discuss that why all those connotations are there. When somebody says I'm religious, and then he's seen, oh, you're religious. Like that. That is the kind of connotations. Then he said, no, I'm very scientific. Being scientific, I'm a spiritual person, but I don't believe in all these religious rituals like that. So first of all, we should understand that what the science offers and what the spirituality offers. Right? Science is also important, but we cannot say that spiritual is not important. We are not against the science, but we should understand there's a two different avenues which offers two different items. So they say that science teaches you about the matter, but spiritually teaches you what really matters in life. That science cannot teach. Science can teach you if you want to kill someone. There's so many. Just go and Google and say, just give little arsenic or cyanide or something. Science can teach you that. But whether to do that or not, science will not teach you. Spiritual will teach you whether this is the right thing to do or not. Right? So science teaches you about matter. Spirituality teaches what really matters. Science improve things. No doubt. Science improve things. But spirituality improves people. Now things has improved. But you see the people are not improved. Things are unfortunately becoming worse. People are becoming more manipulative with taking the help of science only. Right? So science improve things, people improves people. Science teaches you to do things better. How to do things better? Better communication, better transportation, everything better. So science teaches you to do things better, but spirituality teaches you to do better things. You can do so many nonsense things in a very better and the best way. But spiritually educate us to do the better things. Science teaches you to answer the questions. Anybody answer question? questions you, with the help of the science, you can answer the questions. But spirituality actually teaches you to question the answers. Somebody says something, you can. So that is why your scriptures, spirituality, the scriptures are all in the format of question and answers. Somebody says something like Bhagavad Gita, you take. Krishna explains something, immediately Arjuna asks next question. Why this, why that? Bhagavatam is like that. So all our scriptures are in the form of question and answer. So you question the answers. It doesn't sabotage your inquisitiveness. They say that inquisitiveness has its own reason to exist in this world. So our scripture doesn't encourage that, no, don't ask the questions, just listen. What I'm saying, do that. That is not the true spirituality is. But there are some kind of connotations which is associated with the spirituality, which is seen in that way, right? So one atheist, one atheist, a famous atheist, he was saying that I'm a spiritual atheist. Now, this very new term like spiritual atheist. So people think now that sounds like really cool. Spiritual atheist. I'm atheist, I don't believe in God, but I'm still spiritual. And that person, though he's calling himself as spiritual, he made a comment that, in one conference, that he was asked that what are the two evils that you want to wipe out, you want to remove if given a chance, and to remove some two evils in this world, religion or rape. He says, I would prefer to remove the religion from the face of the earth. And he's calling himself as I'm spiritual. So this all concocted ideas, bogus concepts like that. And then because everybody claims themselves to be scientific, then they get influenced by all these kind of bogus scientists, their ideology, their theories. And then of course, a lot of propaganda is also going on. But anyway, we are not talking about that. We are trying to understand that how we can be spiritual without being religious, or how does it go, right? So what is the problem when people say that I'm not spiritual, I'm religious? So there is, when people say that, there is a certain connotation to that word being religious. And what is that connotation? Why people prefer to say that? So we need to understand that first. So people think that, why they think that this being religious is very unattractive, it is not cool. Because there's a connotation is being religious means being narrow-minded. You're very narrow-minded. You just pray and obey. You don't know anything. You don't know the ground realities. You are set in your own ways, think in a certain way. You go and pray. You don't know whom you are praying. And, and some people are there sitting as a God man, and they are dictating you. They're manipulating you. And somewhat this is the kind of unfortunate reality also. So their idea or their concepts is not also baseless, but it is little hyped also. There's some reality to it, but there is a little hype to all of that ideas. So that is why people, when they say I'm not religious, means they think being religious means being very narrow-minded. You become very limited in your thinking. You have your own set ways of thinking. So I don't want to be, associated with this kind of people. I don't want to call myself as very religious, right? Because some of the religion, unfortunately, and that has been the history. I'm talking from the history that some of the religion, they say that this is our ideology, whether you agree. If you don't agree, then immediately there is a clash, there is a disturbance. They say if you don't agree to our opinion, then you'll go to hell. That is their ideology. Some people like very aggressive in their, approach. So then this modern minds, they don't accept what is this? I don't care. You go to hell. You are asking me if I don't believe in your ideology, you're telling me that I'll go to hell. You go to hell. I don't care. This is how the modern minds. So we cannot blame completely these people also, right? And then some of the religions, some of the faiths, they go to next extent. So if you don't believe what we say, we don't agree. If you don't agree with our opinion, then not only you'll go to hell, we'll help you to go hell faster, right? And they go to the extent of killing people and all those kind of things. Unfortunately, it exists, So that is why little educated people, they say, no, I don't want to associate with all this being religious and all that. Very narrow-minded, very, aggressive in their approach and all of that. So that is the kind of connotation. So we need to understand why people came up with this kind of idea that I'm not a religious. Because as soon as you say religious, they think narrow-mindedness, and then all this irrationally being aggressive, and all of those things. This no, I don't like all of this. Now, on the contrary, let us understand a little bit connotation about being spiritual. What is spiritual means? We are talking about the general idea of all of that, like people, the mass, how they think. So this is about religious we discussed, and then what is the idea of being spiritual? And it sounds very cool. People think spiritual means it's a being spiritual means the kind of some experience, some new experience. Having some experience which is new, which is completely different, which you never had. That kind of experience, which is nice, which is peaceful, and which is cool, and that is what is the spiritual is. We'll come to that point that is that really spirituality is, or what Bhagavad Gita Krishna explains, the true spirituality. These are the people had the idea, like something different, different from the league, and some nice, peaceful and all that. Many times, people conduct some so-called spiritual groups. They conduct some retreats. They take you to some, like some forest kind of a setting in the mountains, and you all sit there, and then somebody will tell you, okay, now close your eyes, breathe, and then imagine that you are sitting on the bank of the river, and you see the mountains, the greenery around, and relaxed, and all of that, and now you are spiritual. They think that is what is the idea of spirituality is. So people, of course, you will definitely feel good with imagining something good, that you are, in a nice setting around and very relaxed, no anxiety, amidst of the nature. So it will definitely give you some feel good factor. So what is happening is people think spirituality is equal to feel good factor. They equate feel good is equal to spirituality. Being spiritual means you feel good, but you can feel good in so many different ways. There was a group during Prabhupada's time when Prabhupada came to America. There this famous counterculture. So the idea was that we don't want to follow the traditional ways of living, because we have seen this husband wives, they get married and they fight and they argue and they divorce and all that. We don't want to, get associated with this kind of traditional way of living. So we had to come up with some new innovative idea of living. So that is when this beginning of the counterculture. So that idea was that you do something completely different, which is innovative, creative, which nobody has done. Try whatever you can try. So then they came with the idea that take all kinds of drugs and all this hippie movement, right? Famous hippie movement. So their idea was like take some drugs, and then that time where famous drugs was LSD. They call it LSD. I don't know what it is. Prabhupada also actually mentions in his books LSD. So people, it's a kind of some psychedelic drug. And when you take the drug, it takes you like very high in that moment. You are under the influence of some drug and you feel like some ecstasy at that moment, at least. And they said, now this is what is the real spiritual feeling, right? We are feeling so light, feeling like you're flying in the sky. And that is spiritual. It can happen. It will give you that kind of a feel, but under the influence of that alcohol or whatever drug, they're taking. And people think this is what is the meaning of being spiritual, but that is not what the being spiritual means. Okay. But now this is like generic idea of why people come up with this idea, why they say that I'm spiritual but not religious. These are the kind of connotations people have. Now coming back to Bhagavad Gita. What our Vedic scriptures explains? It explains completely different. For the scriptures, it doesn't say that the spirituality or being religious means is a set of some dogmas. Dogmas means some rules and regulations, and you have to just follow, obey. Somebody's telling you follow. If you don't follow, you'll go to hell, or I'll send you to hell. No, and that is not the idea of spirituality given in the scriptures in the Bhagavad Gita, right? So Bhagavad Gita actually explains that first you analyze. Something is given, something is being told, use your intelligence, analyze it. And after analyze, you realize, not only just because somebody told and it was so nice to hear all that, so I'll follow. No, you
Hare
realize.
Krishna Prabhuji, we lost your audio.
Really. Hare Krishna.
I can't hear Prabhuji still, like online.
I can hear, no problem.
Now it's audible, Prabhuji.
Okay, I'm not sure. I think everything is good here. You can check your connection.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So what Bhagavad Gita's approach is, first you analyze and then realize and then relish. And to analyze and after analyze to realize, there is a process. We'll talk about that. This is the approach of Bhagavad Gita. That is why you see, just to give you some context, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna started speaking, right? And he spoke all the 18 chapters. And then Arjuna asked a lot of different questions and different answers and all of that. And at the end, what Krishna says to Arjuna, that Karishe, Yatha Ichchasi Tata Kuru. Means the approach is deliberation. That I spoke to you everything. Now you decide, you deliberate consciously, you decide what you want to do. So Krishna did not say, I spoke to you everything, now you had to follow. This is the kind of, the dogma that you had to follow. I'm telling you. It's not like that. I told you, this is what it is. Now you use your intelligence and make a conscious decision whether you want to follow it or not. If you follow this will be the result. If you don't follow, this will be the result. I educated you. So this is the approach of Bhagavad Gita. So just completely contradictory to what people have the connotation of being religious means being narrow-minded, being very aggressive and all of that. That is not the approach of Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna is kind of, conveying the message that if you have any questions or any doubts still, if you want me to repeat or explain further, I'm ready. Yata Ichchasi Tata Kuru. You decide what you want to do. And then it was completely Arjuna's decision that, okay, I want to follow the path. So that is what is the approach of Bhagavad Gita. Now, there is an interesting phenomena that we can understand here, that how after speaking everything in Bhagavad Gita, in the last instruction of Bhagavad Gita, the famous words which Krishna explains, he says, Sarv dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami ma sucha. So now, this is very revolutionary, the instruction. In the beginning, in the 4th chapter, Transcendental Knowledge, what Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Whenever there is a decline in the religious principles, dharma sanstapna arthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. I come to establish the principles of dharma. I come to establish dharma. That is what is the purpose of Krishna. And after saying all of those things, toward the end, what is saying? Sarva dharman parityaja. It sounds very contradictory. Like you are saying that you come to establish dharma, and at the end you are saying give up all varieties of dharma. How to reconcile all this apparent contradiction in Bhagavad Gita? So there is a little deeper meaning to this. Why Krishna is saying that Sarv Dharman Parityaja. So let us understand that part. So what Krishna is trying to do here, there are actually 3 things. One is, okay, put the dharma in the center. So this is dharma, adharma, and there is something called paradharma. So dharma is in the center. So when Krishna is saying Sarv Dharman Parityaja, actually many great scholars are not able to digest this fact. Oh, something is wrong here. Maybe some misinterpretation or misprint or something. In one place, actually, one devotee was sharing that this group, they train the small kids to recite the entire Bhagavad Gita, for 1 year or many years. They get trained and then they can by heart and then they can recite. So they have corrected. This is when it comes to this 18.66, and all the kids nicely, correctly they are reciting. In 18.66 they recite Sarv Adharman Parityaja. So this person was thinking, this devotee is saying, "Arey, this is Bhagavad Gita says Sarv Dharman Parityaja." And why they are reciting like Sarv Adharman Parityaja? So at the end of all this thing, he spoke to that person, the organizer. Say, no, how it can be like Sarv Dharman Parityaja? Why Krishna will say Sarv Dharman Parityaja? It has to be adharman parityaja. Makes sense. Dharma, adharma you should give up. Why you should give up? Parityaja means tyag, to give up, to renounce. So why somebody would ask to give up all dharma? This is interesting. So what Krishna is saying, that sarv dharman parityaja, why is saying, he is not asking you, you give up the dharma, the religion, and go to adharma. He is not asking you to do that. saying you give up the dharma and go to paradharma. There's superior dharma is also there. So there is dharma, but there is something superior dharma, the higher dharma. We'll talk about that, right? So the dharma is more of like, in like general connotation, dharma is like following rules, regulations, and all of that. You can equate the dharma with following the rules and regulations, rituals. Krishna is saying, give up all of that. Don't worry about that. But what it means, there is a hidden, unsaid, messages. You give up all this dharma so that you can practice paradharma, the superior, the higher dharma. That is the whole idea, right? So, and that is why you see that interestingly, Krishna says, Sar dharman parityaja. And then Arjuna agreed. What he agreed? He said, Karishye vachanam tava. That is towards the end. Says, okay, Krishna, whatever you say, I'll do that. But Krishna said, Sar dharman parityaja. And Arjuna agreed, I'll do what you said. It means Arjuna's dharma as being a Kshatriya is to fight. But Krishna said, Sar dharman parityaja. You should not fight. As per that discussion. And Arjuna agreed, yes, Karishya vachanam tava, I'll do what you say. And after that, he got up, he took his bow and arrow, and he started shooting the arrows. Question should be asked, hey, Arjuna, did you understand what I said? He said, Sir Dharman Parityaja. You said, yes, I agree what you say. Now you're doing the same thing. So there is a little deeper meaning to understand all of these things. So how do we understand that is, Sir Dharman Parityaja means that you should give up all these rules and regulations in terms of doing them without understanding the real spirit behind that. It's doing just like a ritual, the mere ritual. Krishna is saying, no, you not to do all that. Better you understand what is the spirit behind that, why you should do what you're doing. That should be the, and just don't be a ritualistic person, simply just like that. Right? So that is the idea of Bhagavad Gita. So that is how we understand and what is dharma, adharma, and then paradharma. So the dharma can be compared with being religious, the mere, a ritualistic person without understanding what we are doing, following some set of rules and regulations, and without even asking the questions why we have to do what we are doing on like that. So that's the whole idea. So Krishna, what he's saying is, there's no point of that. It doesn't help you just following some rules and regulations if it doesn't result in developing your spiritual connection, your connection with Krishna. If it is not resulting in that, better you give up that. Because the purpose of dharma is to connect to Krishna. Mam ekam sharanam raja. So all following your dharmas, your rules and regulations, mantra, tantra, all your tapasya, everything, if it is not resulting in mam ekam sharanam raja, then Krishna is kind of saying that there's no use. What's the point? So that is what the Bhagavatam also confirms. Dharma swanushtita pumsam visvakshena kathasuya na utpaded yadi ratim shram eva hi kevalam. So Bhagavatam explains this verse. It says, Dharma swanushtita pumsam. If you are very perfectly, you are, executing your dharma, swadharma, but that is not resulting in Vishwakshena Kathasuya. Vishwakshena is another name of Krishna. So Krishna Katha, hearing about Krishna, listening about Krishna, serving Krishna. Na utpathed yadi ratim. Rati means the interest, the taste. If all following your duties and rules and regulations and all your dharma perfectly, it is not resulting in developing the taste for Vishwakshena Katha, for Krishna. There's no attraction for Krishna is developing. Then Bhagavatam condemns it. Say it is Shram eva hi kevalam. It is useless labor. It is only worth Shram. You're doing hard work, but it will not result in anything. So that's the idea. That is why Krishna is saying this. That is very revolutionary idea that Sarva Dharman Parityaja. So basically, ultimately, Krishna is teaching the higher principle. The purpose of following all the dharma is Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. So that is the approach of Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is not about just mere set of some rules and regulations like a dogma. You have to just follow without understanding why we are doing what we are doing and all that. That is not the approach. Nobody is dictating you, nobody is manipulating you. Nobody is aggressively, trying to push you. You had to do this. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. He says, now you decide what you want to do. Yadachasi tadha. So that is the approach of Bhagavad Gita, right? It is cool. Is it cool? So this is what is the real meaning of being spiritual, right? Now we'll come to the question, can we be spiritual without being religious, right? So let us talk about maybe just 2-3 different points. Maybe 3-4 points I'll bring, and then I think that will bring little clarity on this point. Okay, let me pull this. So how we can be truly spiritual, right? One thing is we should change our mindset or mentality from shopping list to service request. Now, what people do, they go to the temple with a long list. Like you go to some store like Costco or some grocery store, the list what and all you have to buy. So in the same way, people go to temple with this list. God, please give me daily bread, give me this also, one job also, promotion also. Now I'm already, age of marriage, one beautiful girl also. So all this list. That is not the right approach. Many times it doesn't appeal to some, modern mind. They say, what is this? You work hard and get your job, get your bread. Why you're bothering God? And where is God like that? Right? You can definitely ask. There is a concept of asking, basically praying, with the understanding that God is the maintainer. He's the supplier. Supplies everyone. So if I am in need of something, then God is like my supreme father. So I can go and ask unagitatingly to God, God, you are my father, kind father, you are my maintainer. So please give me, which is okay. But we have to have the right spirit. But it should not be limited to this shopping list. The real spirituality is, which has been taught in Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, is service request. You ask, then God, how can I serve you? What can I do for you? You can do so many things for me. You can give me my daily bread, you can give me milk also, and then so many other things also you can give. But what can I give it to you? What can I give to you? That is the real spirituality, and that spirituality is being taught in Vrindavan. See the Brajvasi, the Yashodamai, and all the Brajvasis and all of them, right? What is their approach? They're always in the mood of serving Krishna. Yashodama is constantly thinking, if I don't feed Krishna, what will happen to the small child? He'll fall sick. Now God, who's the maintainer of the entire universe, Yashodama's mood is, I had to do, on time I had to feed, on time I had to put him on sleep and all, everything I had to take care. So this is the mood. This is what the real spirituality means, that you want to render service. You're not always asking. That is not the idea, because we understand from Bhagavad Gita, you can ask, there's nothing wrong, but then go next step and then understand from the scriptures. You go on asking and Krishna can supply you whatever you want. But all these materialistic desires, if it is fulfilled also, it does not satisfy the heart. Still, you will be like dissatisfied. How much money, like you ask someone, how much money you want? Tell someone that this much money I want, and after that, I will not ask anything. Now we can say probably, but once you reach that point, you'll become more greedy. This is the nature of the conditioned soul. So today you say, I want some 1 billion or something. Once you reach there, then you say, no, I want to become number one, the top in the world. Something. This is the nature. It doesn't really satisfy the heart. So Bhagavad Gita is bringing that don't just go to God for asking all these materialistic desires. Also ask that what can I do? Right. And actually, God is not in need of anything from us, but this is the expression of our love. You ask that what do you want? Say, I don't want anything. No, but still, can I do something for you? This is the expression of love. Out of love, you ask. And Krishna says, okay, yes, I want you follow my instructions. Why? Because I want to become a boss? No, I want you to follow my instruction so that you can be happy. Because I want your happiness. And Krishna understand, unless you follow the instructions, the scriptures, you cannot be happy despite asking all the desires fulfilled. I had this funny story. One time, this one man, he was praying to the Lord, please, I want something. And suddenly, some genie just appeared there. And he asked this husband, wife, and the child. He asked husband, okay, now I'm happy. I'm here to serve you. What do you want? Husband says, what I want is, I want some peace. I want to be just away from my wife and kids are all there, all this noise. just send me to some place which is like very peaceful and amidst of the nature and all that. And then genie says, okay, done. Suddenly, the next moment, he find himself like amidst of beautiful nature around and very peaceful. He was so happy. He says, oh wow, my wish granted. And then the genie thought, anyway, I came all the way. So let me ask the wife also, what do you want? So the genie asked the wife, okay, what do you want? He said, well, I want my husband. So immediately that wife also transferred. Next moment, and then this husband realized, oh my God, she's sitting right here now next to me, right? And then the child was all alone. He started crying, where is my mom and dad? And then Ginny asked, what do you want? He says, I want my mom and dad back. And boom, they came back. So this is the nature of these materialistic desires. If they get fulfilled also, still you will be dissatisfied only. It never makes you happy. This is the nature. That is why Krishna is saying, no point of asking all these kind of things. One time, Prabhupada, when he was traveling, he was going in the car, and on the way there was some road construction were going on. So they put a board where they're saying that temporary inconveniences, permanent solutions. Like that, they put the board. So then Prabhupada, by looking at the board, Prabhupada said to the disciple, so this material world there is permanent inconveniences, temporary solutions. So all the solution, I'll get money, I'll get this. If I ask this, I ask that. You can ask, God will give you also. But these are all temporary solutions. What is the permanent solution? Permanent solution is Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja. That is what is the true spirituality. So simply just going and asking this and that without understanding what is the true purpose of spirituality. So that is what is Krishna is saying that don't do that. So or deal. So there are two things. One is like transactional relations, and there is a transcendental relation. So we should decide whether I want transactional relation with the Lord or I want transcendental relation with the Lord. Krishna is saying transcendental. If you want transactional, also is possible, but then you will not be happy and satisfied because transactional is material, transcendental is true spiritual. Right? So from shopping list to service request. Another thing is we should also go from this traditional cultural ritual to conscious act. Just merely doing some rituals without understanding why I'm doing what I'm doing. Conscious act. When you chant Hare Krishna, you should know why I'm chanting. You ask 100 questions. You read the books, understand, convince. Then, with a lot of faith and understanding and devotion, do. That will reap in a completely different results. So, what the people objectives are not religious means simply just doing something, and we all have seen that. Many of us, like we have like we are all born and raised in families which is like traditionally believe in God and go to temple. You ring the bell. Now child asks that why you rang the bell. He say, hey, don't ask all this question in the temple. And some lamp, something will come. Somebody showing you the lamp. You do like that. A child asks, hey, why we are doing like that? Don't ask me, just do like that. So in our kind of generation, probably it worked, but this modern generation, it doesn't work. Should be able to explain them. And it is not like that. There's no answers to all those things. There is answer to everything. We need to just know the answers first. We have to get educated, and then we can educate it in those kind of people or next generation or kids or anyone like that. Right? We all come to the temple, and sometimes you all attend the arati. Now somebody comes and asks you, like maybe anyone ask you, like, what is this arati? Say arati is like 7 o'clock, which happened. That is arati. Probably that will be your answer or something like that. Or maybe they show some lamp or something like that. So how do you explain that? What is arati? Anybody wants to answer here? Adoration of God. But why you're doing all this round and round, some different items and all that, some agarbatti and some lamp and something chamar and all that. Why you're doing all that? So there is the spirit behind doing all of that, but what is happening is we are doing just like a mere ritual. We all stand there, fold our hands because we can relate. But there might be people who cannot relate what these people are doing too. And I remember like one long back when I was in Bangalore. So I was in one of the temple there, in Narasimha temple is there. So there are a lot of all these non-Indians, they come there in the temple. Bangalore is a big city. So when one foreigner came, this white skinned person, and then that time this pujari, the priest, he was offering, they're called the Pushp Archana, Pushpanjali. So they take a lot of flowers, they keep chanting the Stotra mantra, like different names of the god, and they keep offering one flower like that. Om Keshvaya Nama, Om Narayana Nama, Om Madhavaya Nama, Om Govindaya Nama. So they go on chanting, and he was throwing like the offering, the feet. This guy was looking and he said, what he is doing? So his curiosity was that what he is throwing. He did not understand that it was flower. It was all the two flowers. In Bangalore, it is very famous. So his entire inquisitiveness, curiosity was that what this guy is throwing there. So he could not understand. And then at the end, I was standing and he asked me what this man is throwing. So his understanding is throwing something. He don't understand what he's throwing, why he's throwing like that. So many people cannot relate with that. So that is why it is important. So my point is, just from mere cultural ritualistic, activities, we should switch ourselves to conscious act. We should ask, like, why do? So I remember one of our devotee, so Vyakta Prabhu was explaining long back, the Arti. Anyway, we are talking about Arti. It is good to know for many of you because you said you don't know. So what we do is in Arti, this understanding that it's a seva, it's an offering to the Lord. So what you offer is, say the entire creation is made out of different elements. So what are the elements as Krishna explains? Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kam, Mano, Buddhi, Revacha. So earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are 5 gross substance, and then there's mind, intelligence, and ego. There's subtle substance. So this is the part of the creation. So the understanding is when you offer the seva to the Lord, you say that Lord, everything comes from you. You are the source of everything, all the elements. Now, as a humble offering, I'm taking from you and offering to you all these elements. Like we might have seen, like many times people go and worship the Surya Devata, the sun god. In the rivers they go, they take little water in the hands like that, and they offer. So they're taking from there and offering it. So it's an expression of offering. So you're taking, you are with the understanding that it is coming from the Lord, and as an expression of my love and my devotion and my seva, I'm offering it to you, all the elements. So when we offer the agarbatti, the dhupa, this represents the earth substance, then fire, the lamp. Second item is the lamp, diya, that is fire. And then we offer in the conch, you see, if you carefully observe the arti, in the conch they offer the water to the Lord. So earth, fire, water, and then they blow up, and then there is air, they offer this chamar and venjan, like offering the air to the Lord, fanning the Lord, and then blow the conch shell, which is like ether. Krishna explained that I am sound in ether. So make that sound. And then, so earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then mind. When you're doing the arati, you should be mindfully present there. Not like just your hands are going. Nowadays, you see sometime on YouTube, some video is coming that some robot is there and they made a robot and is doing arati. Something like that. Krishna doesn't need all that robotic, things. Krishna needs your mind, intelligence, your complete surrenders. So offer your mind, just be mindful that, okay, here is the Lord and I'm serving the Lord. And how I'm serving, I'm not like serving mindlessly, I'm using my intelligence also. How should I offer? Like, the part of offering, we cook the food and we offer the arti, we dress the Lord. You need intelligence. What to cook, how to dress. Lord should look beautiful, gorgeous, requires make the garland, beautiful garland. Everything needs intelligence. So you're offering your mind, your intelligence. And the last one is the ego. After doing all the seva, you bow down, fully flat, dandavat. Lord, no ego. Namami. When we say namaha, na ma. Ma means that aham, that ahankar. Say, no ahankar, I'm just bowing down, you are my Lord. So like that, in just one seva, you are offering earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, ego. That is arti. Now, how many we knew? We have attended many, many artis like that. Right. So this is what is being just mere ritualistic. Go to the conscious act. Do like that. And then there are different artis. Morning arti, Mangala arti, Darshan arti, Shangar arti, like 7:30. Then afternoon arti. And there is a reason. The Acharya explains why there are different artis. Because it is all connected to Krishna in the spiritual world. The morning time when Krishna wakes up early. Krishna wakes up early. That is when you offer, okay, now this Krishna woke up, do an arti. Then Krishna gets ready, Yashodamai put him, get him ready. 7:30 is ready and has breakfast and ready to go out for, grazing the cows, like around 7:30 at that time. Then another arti, now Krishna is ready. And when he's in the forest with his friends, and then afternoon they feel hungry, they sit in the forest, they start eating lunch. Rajbhog Arti, Lord is eating. In our temples, when we offer the Rajbhog, we sing the Arti. It's called the Rajbhog Arti. If you read, this is given by one of the Acharya, like Bhaktivinoda Tagore. So you read the meaning. The mood is like you are offering so many varieties of, food stuff with love and devotion. Lord is like Lord. So with that mood, with that idea, you offer. So that is Rajbhog Arati. And then after eating their lunch, they take rest, all the friends, all the cowherd boys. And then they get up at around like 4 o'clock sometime. And again they get up. Then one more little small arti. And Sandhya time. This is called the Godhuli Vela. Like when they comes back, all the cows. And then Yashoda Mai, Nanda Maharaj, and all the Vrindavan there eagerly waiting for Krishna to come back. And suddenly they see that the cloud of dust in the sky. So now Krishna is coming. That is Sandhya Kal. That is why Krishna is coming back, one more arti. And then Yashoda Mai give him the bath and give him the food and put him onto the rest. That is Shayan Arti. So like that, different artis, different sevas at different times. The Acharyas has instituted all of those things. And there is a reason. So one should not just be ritualistic without understanding that. So when you have this understanding, this knowledge, then you can absorb yourself better with that idea, with that understanding. So that's the idea, right? Okay. And then also another thing is one should switch from isolating to integrating. Many times why people don't like all this being religious. So if I become religious, they'll say, don't do this, don't do this, don't go here, don't go there. Oh my God, my life will be like restricted. I cannot enjoy. So many enjoyable things are there. I don't like this idea of too much of restrictions. Restrictions stops me to enjoy. I don't want to be religious. But Bhagavad Gita explains that spiritual life is not about isolating. It is about integrating. What Krishna explains, yat karosi, yad asnasi, yad johosi, dadasi, yat. Whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever austerity you do, tat kuru swamadharmanam, offer it to me. So Krishna is not stopping you to enjoy your life. What Krishna is saying is, add me. People think it is all about cutting off, but Bhagavad Gita is explaining adding Krishna into everything. That is the whole idea of the spirituality. So spirituality is not about just cut off from this and then that scared the people. Oh no, this will do too much. Better I'll stay away from these people. So that is not the idea. Whatever you do, you just include Krishna into everything. Right? Okay. And then another thing is, when we read the scriptures, many times people read the scripture like some storybooks, which is also good. There's nothing wrong in that. Scriptures, or there is a one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam which explains that Nivratta Tarsha Rupgiyamana. What is that? Nivratta Tarsha Rupgiyamana Manobirama. I'm just forgetting something. So all this Krishna Katha, hearing about Krishna, reading about Krishna, talking about Krishna, it can act on a different level. One level is it is Manobirama. It is like very pleasing. So many times people like to hear the stories. So one can use reading the scriptures like the storybooks, which is also good, rather than reading all kinds of, the bogus things and all dirty things. They can read all the stories and train your kids to gradually develop that interest in reading Krishna stories and all that, which is also good. But don't read the scriptures just like the storybooks. Learn from those stories the true substance, the philosophy, the message, the lessons behind that. That is also. Otherwise, some story, like you hear some Prahlad story, some Dhruva story, something like one time, two time you hear, like some story. And the third time, if somebody explains, you say, oh, I already know this story. Why there? It is so boring. It might feel boring. But if you really go into depth, try to understand the meaning and the substance and the philosophy and the message, and which is what we are so fortunate that our Acharya Srila Prabhupada has given the elaborate purports. He has not presented this knowledge as like some storybooks like that. but he has given so much detailed explanations. So you just read and go on reading every time you can. It's like the ocean, the gem. So when you go to the ocean, there are different level of going to the ocean. One thing is you can be on the shore, and then the water comes and touches your ankle, you're very happy. So very nice, cool water. It is just like going to temple. So very nice, very nice. Kirtan was good, food was good, dance was good, everything was good. Very nice. Another thing is you jump into the water and you start swimming on the top, on the surface, which is like getting little involved more, talking to devotees, understanding, oh, I have this question, and to understand this, little more, you're going and all that, which is next level. But another level is you can dive deep into the ocean. If you're an expert swimmer, they say that divers, you can go deep down. And when you learn to dive deep, that is when you have access to the gems. There are a lot of gems in the ocean. So if you really want the gems, we should learn. It cannot be just on the shore or on the surface, which is also good. It will give you some feel-good factor. But if you really want some gems, be ready to dive in deep. So one should not remain just complacent. Oh, no, I'm happy, I'm good, this much only is good enough. I go once in a week on Saturday. This Prabhu will give us one mala, we'll chant happily, and the next Saturday we'll go again, which is also good. But if you are interested in collecting some gems, then jump into the water and gradually start diving deep into the water, right? So don't just read all the scriptures, don't listen just for some entertainment. No, it was very nice discourse, Prabhuji, thank you. Ask the questions, how to really apply that, implement, what is the message, what is that application for me from today's, so whenever we listen any discourse or any discussion, maybe at the end you should ask the question to yourself that what is one takeaway point for me to start practicing or applying today? At least one. There can be many more. But because you spend the time, energy, efforts to come all the way, and our Kali memory is like that, if you go after 1 hour, it will be half gone. By tomorrow, another half gone. By next week, nothing remains, everything is gone. So at least we should make the conscious effort of there's 1 or 2 important points which resonates with you, and you say, okay, this is something important that I really want to apply or practice or implement. Then that is the right approach, right? So go from just learning stories, learn the true substance, philosophy, lessons, insights, the wonderful insights given in the scriptures. And then, as the last point I would say is, go from dharma to devotion. Dharma, I'm referring here to just mere rituals. Go to devotion. Devotion is that Krishna, what can I do for you? Expression of love, the bhakti, right? The relation of love. That's the whole idea, right? So from rules and regulations, we should go to relations and reciprocations. So just don't follow rules, regulations like mere ritual, but you should also ask the question. As many times people ask how we can ask the questions, and we ask the question many times to Krishna, but Krishna is not responding. What can I do? So Krishna teaches that how you get the answers. So we get the answers through Krishna's pure representative, the spiritual master, the bona fide Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. So go and meet the sadhus, the practicing devotees. Ask them that I want to advance, I want to learn more. What is, the step forward for me? Can you suggest me something? This is what is my situation. Get into some conversation, inquisitiveness, ask the questions. So this is the way, then gradually we can switch from just being mere religious, like ritualistic, to being spiritual. All right. And now the last part of our discussion is that can we be spiritual without being religious? Like many people say, no, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. I'm cool. So what is this religious? Religious, we already discussed the rules and regulations. So the point is that Acharya explains rules and regulations are very, very important. At this point, we are not at the level of pure devotion. So then rules and regulations is called in the scriptures as sadhana bhakti. So this is the process. We start with the sadhana bhakti and then gradually we progress to the raganuga bhakti, spontaneous devotion. So yes, our goal is the spontaneous devotion, but at this point we don't have that. So following rules and regulations is very, very important. Like we talk about the science. In science, there is a There is a theory and there is a practical, right? So theory is all this philosophy. You understand everything. Krishna is supreme. Sarvadharman Paritaja, surrender to Krishna, and all of that. How do you surrender? What is the practical? So start following some rules and regulations. One regulation. Okay, from today on, because I'm interested in surrendering to Krishna, because I understood. So what is my step forward to surrender to Krishna? My regulation is every day I'll chant some prescribed number of rounds daily without fail at this time. I'll read daily Bhagavad Gita. I'll attend some of the discourses. I'll go to the temple. I'll do some seva in the temple. I'll give some donation to temple. Whatever works for an individual. So these are all rules and regulations. So many times people say, no, I'm not religious. I'm spiritual. It's a myth. You cannot be spiritual. It's like, the person who's sick. He says, I want to get cure without going to doctor or without taking the medicine. You cannot be spiritual without being religious. But we already discussed that the connotation of being religious means that narrow-mindedness, and unnecessarily being aggressive. We are not talking about that, but we are talking about the rules and regulations which is laid down in the scriptures. The acharyas, they are the scientists, they are the doctors. They have told us that this is the rules and regulations you have to follow. So when you start following those rules and regulations, then gradually that helps us to become more spiritual. That's the idea. So all these rules and regulations, they're like the fence. Like you walk on the road, sometimes there is a fence. Otherwise, the fence is not there. There is risk of falling down or some accidents like that. So fence actually helps us to safeguard, from the fall. But some roads might be, there's only fence. You're not able to see the road only. So dark. Then there is no use of that fence. That is what is the first point we said. That you follow the fence, the rules and regulations, but know the road. This is what is my path is. Why I'm following these rules and regulations? Because this is what is my destination. I want to reach here. And this is what the true spirituality. Okay. So like that we can understand. So this understanding of being religious versus spiritual. Yes, we can be religious and we have to be religious and spiritual. But when people say I'm not religious, we should understand what they are referring to and we can guide them. We can guide ourselves if we have a question. Religious means, it does not mean that, all this narrow-mindedness and all of that, right? Okay, so let me pause here and see if anybody's any quick question. I think we are already done with the time. Let's change the battery. Anybody's any question online, those who are joining or in person? Ali, this concept is clear now? Okay, we'll ask next time.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we don't have any questions, then we can stop here and let us do this one round of chanting Hare Krishna mantra, not ritualistically, but we understand Hare Nam, Eva Kevalam, Kalau Naste, Gatir Anita. The scripture says in this Kali Yuga, there's no other way, there's no other means to connect to the Lord. How do you connect to the Lord? Through chanting his holy name. So that is why we chant Hare Krishna mantra. And why only Hare Krishna mantra? We have discussed all of those things. So you can ask if it is not clear, and you can still ask that. Okay, so let us just chant one round of